Holy potential childhood trauma, Batman! Tiki here, and I'm watching through Batman the Animated Series, episode by episode for the first time with Dragon by my side.
Yeah, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way.
And tonight we're tackling Mudslide. Alright, so Dragon, I gotta admit, this episode, it's interesting. It's interesting. When it first started, like the first 5-10 minutes or so, I was like, alright, this is good. I don't quite know where it's going. You know, I'm seeing a lot of, like, it was kind of like a lot of parallels. Like, basically, Dragon, I was feeling a lot of Spider-Man 3 between the sand kind of having this symbiotic quality to it, and then, of course, the obvious Sandman of it all. Very, Clayface's struggle in this is kind of Sandman-esque in a way. So, but then we get to the last 5 minutes, Dragon. We get to the last 5 minutes, and holy shit! This episode really, really cracks into high gear in the last 5 minutes. I mean, man, talk about a slow burn of an episode. I mean, that ending was fantastic. Oh, God. So yeah, that's where I'm coming down on it, Dragon. It's a little bit of a slow burn. And honestly, I think having come right after The Man Who Killed Batman, it's got kind of like, I'm going to drop a music reference that you're not going to get on you, Dragon, but I think it's applicable here. It's kind of got like a U2, like Joshua Tree, Octung Baby thing going on. Like, Octung Baby is a really good album, but it's no Joshua Tree. You know, so that I say that, and I haven't even listened to either of those albums. It's just the biggest comparison point people make for that kind of thing. The follow-up, Dragon. It's hard to do the follow-up. The Man Who Killed Batman is my favorite episode of the show that we've done so far. This is really good. I think it's a little bit slow, although I do appreciate the detective work being done throughout the episode. And I especially appreciate the fact that this is a really good Alfred episode. But man, when this episode hits, it really hits. I mean, the imagery in that last 5 minutes is fantastic, and that ending is, honestly, maybe a contender for, like, my top 3 or 4 favorite endings of the show so far. I mean, that ending really struck me. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, a little contextual segment here is to kind of loop you in. So this was directed by the great Eric Radomski, of course, the co-creator of the show, you know, the man responsible for the backgrounds. He is so rarely does Eric Radomski direct. You gotta remember how kind of rare this is. Eric Radomski, the episodes he had done before this, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? And Almost Got Him. So that's the pedigree of Eric Radomski. So, it was written by Steve. Basically, it was I believe, there's like a written and there's a teleplay. I think Steve Perry did the teleplay. Steve Perry, of course, he's basically the in-house sequel guy. It was so funny, like when we were doing a lot of the episodes, I kind of pointed out earlier, because this guy, he started with Night of the Ninja, then he goes on to do Day of the Samurai, and then basically beyond that, he keeps doing sequels, which, of course, you have Terror in the Sky, and this, which is a sequel to the Clayface episode. So basically, he keeps going on with kind of, he's their sequel guy. We're going to do a sequel in Season 3, this guy also did, and I want to say one of the other drafts, either the teleplay or the original draft of this, is also by Alan Burnett, the famed Alan Burnett, the man responsible for a lot of the best of Batman over the years, the man who's got fingerprints in almost all the Batman shows, the great Alan Burnett, the man who wrote the Two-Face episode.
Oh yes.
Big of course, Alan Burnett kind of. Yeah, I mean, you know Alan Burnett, of course, the big, man, he's kind of the man in charge of the show for all intents and purposes, and of course, the Jim Gordon, the Paul Dini to an extent.
That's the thing that I always think of when you bring up Alan Burnett, is that Jim Gordon comparison, honestly.
Oh, he is. He's the guy handing out the assignments and helping out the writers. You know,
right.
By the way, I might as well mention it here. I was going to mention it during the movie memoirs, but it wasn't really applicable there. But fun fact, really exciting news. It's exciting news given what's happening now. I'm not sure where this stands, but they announced they were going to do some more Batman the Animated Series through a new comic series. So So yeah.
Oh, interesting. Huh.
And it was going to be written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini, which is really exciting. Those two being teamed up again after all these years, and it's basically so they're tying into the toy line, which basically they're going to do some new animated series toys, which basically going to tie into the new
I'm
stories.
sure you're excited about that.
I'm beyond excited. I hope we're going to be able to see it, but it's fantastic. Anyway. I'm very because I love these animated tie-in comics, and they had so much love for them. They said to do more of them and do some kind of fresh ones, so that's going to be really exciting. Anyway, so let's see. So the studio, the studio you don't see all that often. Studio. I'm not making this name up. Studio Junio.
Okay, I haven't heard that. That's either I haven't heard it or it's only popped up once or twice.
Well, you've heard it twice. That's
okay.
Literally only two times. Don't feel that bad. This is like way back when. So back in season 1. So Studio Junio, they did Dreams in Darkness. Of course, as you can tell with this episode, a lot of the morphing effects when Batman's dosed with fear toxin, all the morphing of all the villains in that cave sequence.
Dude, both of the Clayface episodes are just very visually intense. I don't think this one quite reaches like the Akira levels of the first Clayface episode, but still. This one goes for more of an alien approach, honestly.
Well, you're right about that. So the other episode was Underdwellers. Underdwellers.
Of course I remember the Underdwellers, an early favorite.
Yeah, the Sewer King. The other, it's so fun we have two Sewer Kings. We have the one from Hey Arnold, we have the one from Batman the Animated Series, both from the 90s.
I'm sure we brought that up. We talked about the Underdwellers.
Anyway, so it's so funny you mentioned the first Clayface episode. As you imagine, TK, as many people will tell you, again, that episode is a very revolutionary episode for Batman. That's when the whole animation industry woke up to Batman. It's like, oh my god, look at all this. Look at that. Look what they did there. And it had a compelling compelling actor theme to the whole episode as well, like the tragedy as well as the morphing is beautiful, and of course the Akira level as well. The point being, people were wowed by that, so there was a huge mandate. Well, not so much a mandate, but everybody asked, "Oh, you got to do another Clayface episode. You got to do another Clay." There was so much hype for Clayface. There was so much pressure. Come on, that first Clayface two-parter was so amazing. You got to give us more. And Tig, I'll clue you in now. You don't see a lot of Clayface episodes for a very good reason. It's the same reason you don't see a lot of Riddler episodes. Riddler's hard to write riddles. In Clayface's case, that animation breaks the bank.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Basically, there's a trilogy of Clayface episodes. I know technically he has a small thing in Holiday Nights, but it's not really. The point being, there's a real trilogy of there's 3 Clayface episodes and a little half episode. I think it's a vignette, so it doesn't really count. Anyway. So this is part 2 of the trilogy, man. All 3 are very emotional, very, very gripping. 3 is a very we don't get 3 until New Adventures of Batman, Tiki, but still, trust me, it's a heavy one. And there's a Hey Arnold connect actually to that one as well, so we'll get to that later. But anyway, so point being, Clayface, of course, a lot of money to animate, so they really put the budget into this one. Also made it different than the first one, which is really interesting because we do Clayface effects, but not all the morphing effects. How are you going to top those morphing effects in that first episode? But here it's what's the down?
You just don't.
What's the downside of being Clayface? And that's pretty much what this one is. Oh my god, it's even more tragic, the spin on Clayface. So.
This is one of the finest Ron Perlman vocal performances. I'm going to say that right up top.
He is quite great. He is, absolutely. Ron Perlman never disappoints.
I got to admit, he was so good that it took me a while to even remember that it was him.
Well, here's the fun part. He actually voices all the people he transforms into in the episode.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Wow.
No. Okay, well, actually, wait a second. I think, except for the young guard, but then again, I wouldn't put it past him. Everyone, but I think the young guard, I think, is him. But again, it could be him, but it'd be amazing. Anyway, point being, Ron Perlman's very talented. We all, anyway.
All right.
So
should we dive right into it then?
Yes, we should. So we're going to Tarnower Financial.
Okay.
All right, so we got these 2 guards, kind of an older one, a younger one, and basically, the older one's going outside to check the parking lot. A little banter with kind of old guard, young guard, hey, it's not past my time. This old
guard gave me a serious Cosgrove vibe.
I know, very Cosgrove-esque.
I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Proto Cosgrove for sure. approach. Yeah.
Right. Just in the design and the mannerisms and everything.
I saw a T-shirt, like a customized job, which basically it's Cosgrove's, like the shot of Cosgrove saying, "Hey, cut it out." So when he's pointing like Uncle Sam style to the screen, like, "Hey, cut it out." It's really funny.
Oh God.
Anyway, getting back on point. Some point, the older guard is going out to check the parking lot, but as we see, he returns, and that is not him. It is another identical guard, and of course, given the title card of the episode, I think we can assume who that man is. So I love this. I love how they tease it up. Even if you didn't put together, even if you had not seen the first Clayface episode, I love like there's like kind of a fun tease and like little clues that it's Clayface. You hear like the Clayface theme as he walks in. You know. Guard walks in and basically heads to the elevator, and he's this is what I love about the animation. It's less the morphing, not only on the morphing and less of the morphing. The whole the degradation is fantastic, but I love the Celta here. The guard is really winded. These are the details I love right here. So the guard is going to the elevator and he's looking really winded. He's sweating the pieces practically, and of course for a very good reason. That Clayface is really he's really exhausting himself here. Hence the melting effect later.
Right.
So the young guard.
So the other guard, the young guard, he sees that there's shenanigans afoot, Dragon. He sees that there's older guards where older guard is right at all.
Yes, he's the older guard is. He sees that the older guard is an imposter.
Right. I really didn't explain that well at all.
Okay, anyway, point being, sees a little monitor. The guard is still in the parking lot. How can it be in two places at once? Oh, shenanigans! And he hits the alarm, and he's going. And of course, as he hits the alarm, this is always one of my favorite Alfred gags. This is a great one. So Batman's about to return, and he's saying, "Well, it's quiet on the streets now, Alfred. I guess I'm heading back to the cave
This
early."
was a wonderful Batman gag. This was almost like a cutaway gag, and I love it.
So Alfred's delighted by this news. Why is Alfred delighted by this news?
Because dinner is ready, sir. Dinner is just ready. I just pulled it out of the oven.
And like for a change, Batman's actually gonna be able to eat dinner at a reasonable hour, just for a change.
I feel like this is like a running thing in this show. It's almost kind of, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the whole like, all right, Bruce, we can turn in early and watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah. I forget if it was the Mad Hatter episode or not. There's like another throwaway line that kind of builds up to this, where like Alfred's like, Batman's like he's about to turn, and that okay, well no, there's an alarm going off. Or basically, here's about like I believe the Mad Hatter he puts the little cards on the street gangs little bandanas, and they're basically about to kill themselves off the bridge, which is really dark too. They got away with that, but that they attempted to. Anyway, so you got the call and says, okay, I'll prepare your normal breakfast, coffee, toast, bandages. That sort of thing. He's not coming in, so I shouldn't expect until late now. And of course, best version of it here, alarm goes off at Tarnower Financial, Batman's on his way, and the false alarm out, forget to cancel it. Just, pardon me for saying so, sir, but your goose is cooked, as we just see this giant goose.
We just get this great away. Yeah, it's like a cartoonish, like it seems like something that'd be on Animaniacs or something, in a good way. Yeah. Your goose is cooked, sir.
Yes. All right. So, guard's cracking the safe. Then he's caught by the younger guard. He's drawing his gun, like, yeah, hey, who are you? Put your hands up. Step away from the safe. And of course, and this is I love this detail in the rewatch so much that again you see the safe is behind a painting of the owner, of the guy who owns Tarnower Financial, Mr. Tarnower. And so basically, Clayface is gonna clock that on his way in, and of course, in a pinch, shapeshifts into Mr. Tarnower. And basically, this is absolutely Ron Perlman doing Mr. Tarnower. And this is what I'm talking about, like 2 in a row so far. Is like shape.
Yeah, totally.
Who do you think I am, Batman? Again, great dialogue. Batman? If you're Clayface, that's a great pull. It's like, yeah, it'd be Batman. Why don't you go guard the door?
I love that this guard is kind of like. The guard is kind of like a mini detective in his own right. You know what I mean? He's like, wait a minute, where's your British accent?
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute, where's
and aren't you supposed to be in Hawaii?
Mm-hmm. Then Clayface knocks him out with like this is how we get the big Clayface where like he basically uses the old knockout technique where he shoots like a piece of himself onto the guy, making him kind of like go unconscious. So Batman
Uh-huh.
arrives, and then he cleverly shapeshifts into the young guard he just knocked out. This is this is Batman. Basically, Batman checks the caught thief from this young guard, and then we reveal. Batman puts it together. Oh wait a minute, this it's Clayface. And Clayface basically he has like a mace that I love this. You hear like the mace that he's about to swing at Batman. Batman like he gets hit by the mace and kind of flung across the room. And as Clayface's mace comes back into his body, visual cue that shapes the whole episode here, you see the messy reformation animation, where basically like pieces of himself are dragging behind, leaves like an icky, like wet trail. It's like, oh god, Clayface is not
The
his like
trail
dainty,
is
messy
what
self.
really bothers me, man.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that he's like losing parts of himself as he walks along. Like that's some body horror stuff right there.
And here's the clever thing too. If you're afraid the studio that you have is not going to be able to replicate like the beautiful, I believe it was the TMS animation from the other Clayface episode, like the Revolutionary. Of course, this is why TMS is a big one for them, like when they do New Adventures, because they love what they did on Clayface, but on Feet of Clay. And these guys again, the burden's taken off a little bit because they can mess up on the animation, and it's fine because he's falling to pieces and he's messy as all get out.
Right,
It's kind of clever.
right, totally.
But then again, there's an art to the messiness. One could argue maybe it's more difficult. So one could say, well, again, even if they screw up, it's messy anyway. Anyway,
Oh,
so let's see. So right before, oh god, this is great here. So the mess of reformation animation, and Clayface is about to decapitate Batman, but the bell tolls. Man, boy, does that bell toll for thee. So Clayface goes for the exit, man. He jumps out the window, and I love this. Tiki, I noticed this on the rewatch. Each act of the episode has Clayface falling from a great height, so building to the finale.
yeah, you're right about that.
Of course,
Interesting.
Clayface jumps out
Good
the window, of
structure.
course, to be safe upon his fall this time. He's kind of jumped out the window, just kind of falls and reforms slowly on the street. And this is a really inspired idea here that Clayface, again, not being his full self here, he's really slow, and I love this slow speed chase on the street where basically Clayface, he's reforming, he's getting away almost like a snake.
It's kind of like Frankenstein-esque.
Yeah, it's very. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of old horror movie nods to Clayface, especially later on when he gets the suit. A lot of classic Frankenstein there, but yeah, so Clayface, he's kind of trying to make his way slowly on foot, and then Batman tosses. Oh, I love a lot of great bat gadgets in this episode too. Batman tosses the flashbang battering, which is animated so well. It has like little blue plume, like light and everything. Oh god, that's great. So, Batman, he and this is what's great about it, is like they're just kind of walking alongside Clayface this whole time, re-extending his offer. Like Hagen, once I offered the help you find a cure. The offer still stands. Oh, Batman trying to help Clayface, classic. And of course, Clayface, for reasons that we learn later at the end of Act One, here is that I don't need your help, Batman. And of course, he's basically trying to hurt him and trying to get him away from him here. It's fine, have it your ways, Batman says, and Batman points out again, getting really brutal here, is pointing out very strategically Clayface has no prayer against him this time. Where Batman points out he's used to be faster, Hagen, not to mention neater. Great visual storytelling. He's like Clayface takes a giant swing at him like a mountain. Of course, like a mountain barely it makes an impact on the car, and you have this whole globby mess on the car. And I love it. Batman's putting two together. Like, yeah, you're definitely falling to pieces, Clayface. What's going on here? Visual storytelling and clues for the Batman as, of course, the world's greatest detective for our show. So Clayface gets to an alley, tosses a trash can at Batman. Batman just dodges with great ease. So now Clayface is literally cornered. Now there's to me is the money shot here. Like Clayface just, this shot's beautiful. You can see like the melting mess of Clayface, like leaning on a dumpster, hunched over.
Yeah, Clayface leaning dragon. That's a motif that's going to come back a couple more times too.
Mm-hmm.
We get the subway shot as well.
Yeah, just the prolific kind of defeated monster shots here, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
really
yeah, totally.
Clayface, where even if you just look at Clayface, oh, it's that giant icky bad guy, but no, it's like look at the tragedy of this man. Like again, he's a human guy that Batman's trying to fix and trying to get him back to normal again, but the guy just look at what sad a shape the man is in right now, and it's just such a again, it's hitting all the tragic buttons that we kind of spent 2 episodes with the first introduction of Clayface. We're hitting the proper notes really well in like a single shot almost. So as Batman's
That's why
about to have,
everyone's favorite scene in Spider-Man 3 is the birth of Sandman.
of course, yeah. So car almost hits Batman, like swerves, like Batman just dodges out of the way at the last second. Thank goodness. Car just almost hits him and basically comes to Clay. It's a woman coming to Clayface's aid, like Matthew, get in.
Now, Dragon, refresh my memory because it's been a while since I've seen the original Clayface episode. Is this a new love interest for him, or was she in the original one?
No, she's brand new. She didn't have a love interest in the original.
Okay, good. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we're just kind of thrown into it. We don't know who this lady is until the episode, so yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. So, anyways, we'll know her name by the end of it. Don't you worry though.
Oh God.
So anyway,
I think
so
this episode.
God. I think so. All right, so we're okay. This is great. So now we're at this Cliffside Laboratory. Now again, I love that. Again, with the whole mudslide of it all, the whole episode's very much structured around this location for the climax. We're really building it up here. Again, the slide of it all in the mud, and given it's really clever with the title in that regard. So we're at this Cliffside lab, and she helps him into this containment suit press. It's the best way I can describe it. Basically, this giant thing that presses him into like a plastic suit, or like kind of a. Basically, he's pressed into this plastic suit, and she's really comforting, very loving towards him. I'll take care of you, Matthew. I'll take care of everything. And she pumps him full of these stabilizing chemicals and just sleep, my darling. So it's like, what is happening? What have we missed? What is Clayface?
Okay, I got to admit, Greg, for a second there, I kind of thought that she would end up being the twist villain and everything because she was almost a little too friendly to him.
Now we're
I was like, okay, there's got to be some ulterior motive here.
That's I really do like this episode, but there is one flaw that always, ever since I watched it for the very first time, I've never been able to shake, and it involves this character. It's the whole motivations of this character, and I still don't think we really know by the end of the episode. That's my problem.
I think that's why it took me a while to warm up to this episode when I was initially watching it, honestly, is I was kind of having a hard time connecting to this storyline. I mean, I do think that by the end of it, it's not necessarily wrapped up, but I do think that there's at least some pathos there that I appreciate, but it's not great.
My point is there's a lot to infer when I really shouldn't be inferring. That's kind of the only real knock I have against the episode, but it's really notable, though. And we'll get there by the end. The end has, like, where all my main... I have basically one issue, and that's by the end. We'll get there. So, okay, so meanwhile, Batcave. So we're in the Batcave. Batman's analyzing a piece of Clayface he left behind, of the various pieces of Clayface he left behind. and Clayface. Oh, this I love, my favorite Alfred gag in the episode. I love this line so much. I actually worked into the Bill Dozier thing from last episode, where Batman's looking at this piece of Clayface and he says Clayface is losing his integrity, and of course Alfred says, I wasn't aware he had any integrity to begin with.
Alfred is on fire this episode, man. He really is. He's got a lot of, like, zingers like that.
I actually have a headcanon thing for Alfred this episode.
Oh, God, dude.
I gotta tell you, so, of course, classically, Alfred, they didn't really spend a lot of time on this in the animated series, but classically, Alfred, of all the things that he's able to do, of course, the MI6 and just kind of all the life experience that Alfred has working in intelligence, diffusing hostile, it's basically playing peacemaker, as Batman kind of teased up in that Forgotten episode. Basically, Alfred has been an actor in the comics. He's an actor. He's a trained actor. And I knew they touched on Gotham a little bit. Remember when Sean Pertwee did the whole thing he put on the accident? That he tried to train Batman.
Yeah. Right.
So, little headcanon, and again, it's nothing gets in the way of the episode. I like to think that Alfred's throwing a lot of shade Matt Hagen's way because he's kind of judging him as an actor. I think Alfred being the proper stage actor versus kind of like the movie star that he's like judging as inferior to the stagecraft. That's what I think. That's my headcanon. I think that's why Alfred's throwing all this shade at Hagen. I don't know. It's either that or he just he's holding a grudge because Matt Hagen tried to frame Bruce Wayne in the Clayface episode. One of the two. I don't know. Little thing. It's acting background. I don't know.
Oh, I love it. I love how Alfred just has this whole, like, inferred private life in this show that we never get to see.
Well, we get, like, an episode of it in season 3, but you're right.
Oh, dude.
We do. We get one episode of Alfred's private life, which is very interesting. But again, we've seen, like, a glimpse of it, too. We saw Alfred's dating life in the Poison Ivy, in the Eternal Youth, remember?
Oh god, that was a weird episode,
It
dude.
was. It was. Anywho, so basically, Batman's running an ultrasonic test on the on the sample here. He basically mapped out the sample using like an ultrasonic thing, and basically he's noted that the molecular bonding of Clayface's clay flesh is breaking down, and on the physiological sense. Basically, that's why we have a really smart ticking clock put into play here, and a logical aftermath of Clayface the shapeshifter. All of the amazing shapeshifting TMS brought us at the end of Feet of Clay in the grand scheme of things, might really run down his structural integrity as this clay monster who probably shouldn't be alive because his flesh is now artificial. It's all kind of malleable. So in theory, if you did all that shapeshifting over time, it might take a toll.
Right.
So it's kind of a nice little logical thing here. It's pushed his cells to the max, and then of course, like Alfred saying, "How grotesque." T.
Like I said, Alfred just on fire, man. He's the quip machine.
And of course, like in the background, Howard Hamlin just in this little cafe corner of the back guy saying, "Yes, Alfred, hit me up with some, would you?"
Oh
Right.
god. Very fun, very fun.
Okay, so basically Batman's
Alright.
putting two and two together here, very much like Clayface is pulling the Sandman of it all here. Again, Clayface came first. If anyone's saying, "Oh, they're ripping off the Sandman," Clayface came first anyway. So, the robberies, basically Clayface is committing all the robberies like Tarnower Financial to find, basically to fund any medical process to hold himself together for the time being. Anything that's going to hold him together is going to be really costly, hence the robberies. And now Batman's wondering, I wonder what that woman's stake is in all this. The one who kind of bailed him out, got him out of Dodge at the end of things here. And then Alfred, this is really great and really clever with our transition too. Alfred suggests maybe someone who enjoys mud baths.
God.
Which he's kind of right. Technically, he's kind of right. You know? Well, she does like him, and of course we cut from that too. And this is really great in the editing, seriously. We cut from speculating about the woman to the woman and kind of getting a glimpse at her motivation.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great this transition of her watching Dark Interlude. Tell us about Dark Interlude.
Oh god, I mean it's just like a classic sort of like old school movie that Matt Hagen was in. It's like kind of like a black and white sort of, I don't know, how would you describe it, Dragon? Like a film noir style. I love that it ends with the WB logo.
Of course, it's just great. Here's the thing: it's sort of less noir. It's more just kind of like an old school, like it's an old school romance movie from the 40s, I guess. It's kind of like that, where basically it's like I love like the triumphant dun 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 dun. Dun. It's just that kills me about it so much. I love it in the music where one basically we have this female doctor, I believe, Dr. Susan here. Doctor removes the bandages of the senator who basically got into an accident. Basically, she, I assume, did the plastic surgery, the reconstructive plastic surgery on him. Of course, there's a great bitter irony about Matt Hagen's life. And of course, like when he got into a car accident, his plastic surgery didn't turn out this well. And of course, there's a great irony with that with Matt Hagen's life. It adds a really great parallel to this little comedy beat here. And of course, like dun, 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 as he looks into the mirror, he's about to get together with his fiancee. I guess we can get married. And of course, the doctor is kind of falling head over heels for the patients, like crying outside the room. And of course, the senator kind of goes out there and of course delivers the money line here. Susan, you cured more than my body. You cured my heart. Nice happy ending, and they play the triumphant music, and it's the WB logo comes on. Oh, Stella here. Stella's like crying, and like, oh, she's so touched by it. She's basically, oh god. Anyway, so she's melting head.
Touched by it as Tiki's touched by La La Land.
Exactly. You're touched by La La Land, like I'm touched by Winter Soldier. It's pretty much like she's going for this, man. Anyway, so Matt awakens this because Matt was sleeping in the earlier scene. Now he's woken up in his little chemical suit and he smashed it. Turn it off! And it's the runner of Clayface. If we learn nothing else, Clayface loves the smash TVs. It's what he lives for. He's always about smashing the TVs, especially the TVs that feature him on it. So he smashes the TV before she can turn the selector off. He's just like, that's not me anymore. And this is Clayface's fatal flaw. He's the ego of the actor. That's Clayface's flaw. Right there. I love that we kind of dedicate on the rewatch. I think we really dedicate a lot of. We learn a little bit more about Clayface as a character in this episode. So he's going stir crazy, being trapped in a suit with the chemicals, and then we have this really nice.
It's not like can relate to going stir crazy and all, Dragon. It's not like anyone can relate to that.
Of course not. No. Anyway.
I mean, who would think of such a thing?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, so crazy. So, anyway, so Clayface, really nice moment here. Matt Hagen is apologizing to Stella here. After he says, "I'm sorry," and he quotes the movie, knowing that he quotes the movie, kind of knowing like she was just watching. And it's really nice about the actor giving the performance he just gave. It's kind of a nice little gesture here. Says, "You cured more than my body. You cured my heart." But again, he says it unironically, though. He says it he just says it kind of genuinely, though, which is kind of nice. Anyway, so she has news for him. She demonstrates kind of our big plot point of the episode to you. What's our big plot point of the episode?
Oh, Dragon, you're gonna have to run through this because I was a little bit confused by everything here.
All right, so she's demonstrating MP40, which is an experimental isotope. So this isotope, essentially, she puts it on like a little piece of clay and a little piece of him, and basically she puts a little piece of isotope inside the clay, and now basically it's not so much a cure; it's an adaptogenic. What this means is that Clayface, his abilities are so perfected by this that he could be Matt Hagen and maintain his Clayface powers. That's the idea. So he could be back to normal. Because remember, Clayface's
problem... To me, it was just like science mumbo-jumbo.
Point being, it's a cure-all, but it's a cure-all, but importantly, it's a cure-all that also allows him to be Clayface. It's not just a cure, it's kind of makes him really powerful. And the takeaway in all this is that Clayface's problem from the last episode was that it was like tensing a muscle when he shapeshifted. This, it wouldn't be like tensing a muscle anymore, which would be like a little too much power for Clayface, perhaps. But also, he could be Matt Hagen again, which is what he wants. He wants to blend into society again, so he needs this, as far as he's concerned. This is like better than a cure, if they can get this. We'll give him total control. Problem is, source of the isotope is Wayne Biomedical Labs.
What a twist! Happenstance.
Yes. It's very rare. It's very well protected. It's only like so much of it. And again, right now, at Wayne Biomedical Labs. So, of course, nothing is beyond reach for Clayface. So, of course, she's warning him it's too risky. If you go without the suit, it's the only way he can shapeshift. He can't shapeshift inside a little plastic suit. Basically, if he goes, his integrity could go at any time. And of course, he's saying it's worth the risk. I'm not spending my life like this. And there's some stuff to break down here. So, the arc of Clayface, I would read it as this. If you look at the arc of Clayface looking from feet of clay, like first episode is the actor's vanity. He needs the renew you to fix his face. That's all he needs. He needs to fix his face. Actor couldn't just go on like being all scarred up in life. I need to look pretty. And, of course, with the whole tragedy of Clayface, his whole body being saturated in the stuff and where we are now, we go to the actor's ego. So as tragic as Clayface's circumstance in life is, where you feel bad for him, he got into the car accident, he lost his looks, he can only get horror pictures anymore, he is really selfish if you look at it. And that's kind of, I got my eyes open on the rewatch here. Clayface is quite selfish when you look at him. He's selfish and insensitive to other people. Like, remember Teddy from the other episode? Remember Teddy, like his friend who was trying to be there for him, and his Clayface is like treating him like garbage and like
yeah.
That guy. So again, we're kind of doing that. We might be doing that with Stella here as well. So again, he's just basically it's like he's insensitive to other people just because he got a bad break and he can't just move on from that. He can't just like accept the help that's extended to him. He's got to kind of take it out on everybody else. In that regard, he is quite selfish, which again I think is kind of interesting, given like how kind of is the maker of his own fate by the end of the episode. He's responsible for the bad stuff that happens for him by the end of the episode to an extent. And Stella, on the other hand, do you think she cares, or do you think it's like a misery situation?
Oh, I think she cares, absolutely. The reason I think she cares is simply because of that one shot that we get as he's walking out, and she's like really worried about him. And I kind of have that shot sort of highlighted in my notes as like really good character animation.
Yeah, and I think an interesting thing as well on the flip side of that is that think about Matt Hagen here. Matt Hagen, again, I already mentioned like how he treated Teddy, and it's like, does he reciprocate that care? Does he reciprocate kind of the affection, or is it just like him using Teddy as a means to an end here, where it's like he rejects his friends as far as they're useful to him in the moment? Where again, like what use is a stand-in if he can't maintain his own shape anymore? In this case, like Stella can cure him after that. Would he stick around?
Uh-huh.
All right. Anyway, so Yeah, so biomedical lab. So Bruce Wayne, I believe, just for convenience's sake, Bruce Wayne is at the Wayne Biomedical Lab.
Why not? Why not?
Now, to be fair, look, if I'm to
um,
speculate, it is a. I'm sorry, go on.
no, I was just gonna say I do like how it just kind of like, very easily, like, geographically, this end sequence, it is just like, it's a nice heist, and Bruce Wayne can just show up. It economizes everything quite nicely.
It does. It does. I mean, if there's any logic to it, which it just might be pure convenience, I'm sure it was conceived as that. But look, if there's anything, it's that he is working on a cure. And again, where are you going to work on a cure? Wayne Biomedical Lab. I don't know. So anyway, so he
Right.
calls Alfred.
There you go. I like that.
I mean, it's my life. So he calls Alfred on an update on the Hagen research. Basically, he's having Alfred do a research, and like I love the practical nature of all this. Where basically, Alfred's looking through like all the tabloid magazines, looking through all the articles of Matt Hagen that were ever made, and is looking at like all the women in his life, all the women he was dating, and seeing if there's any female doctors in the midst there.
There's a lot of magazines, man.
Again,
Matt
I think
Hagen's been busy.
And this is what I'm saying with Alfred here. Alfred's the stain in Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s performance here is just I don't know. I think it's there where he's just like his past dealings with women have nothing to do with medicine. So which sounds like this guy's a philanthropist.
There. I mean, there is disdain for sure. Whether or not it's your headcanon is up for debate. But yeah, Alfred definitely has. He definitely has something. Some kind of grudge with this guy.
Yeah.
Guy right, just does not sit well with him.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so let's see. Okay. So speaking of which, we talk about Lady Doctor transition to a different Lady Doctor, which is kind of nice. So we have this Lady Doctor working late at the biomedical lab, and she's kind of taken hostage by Clayface here, really horrifically. So it kind of melts his way through the glass, and it's like this giant clay arm comes up, like the MP4.
God, that through the glass is ridiculous.
Yeah. So really creepy though. He takes her hostage and leads her, and she leads into the MP4, and of course she sets off the alarm. Bruce Wayne gets the alarm. I think we can fill in the blanks from there.
Yeah.
So this is really clever. Doctor flees in fear, like there's a giant monster in there. This is okay. Well, the guards are going to take care of it. Of course, the female doctor is Clayface. Having gotten the MP4, he gotten the isotope he needs, and just he's struggling to keep it all together. Because you can see he's kind of starting to melt, so he's concentrating extra hard to keep stable for the subway ride home.
Mm-hmm.
So Batman is kind of tailing him. Yeah.
This subway ride, man. This subway ride. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't say this is the most traumatic part of the episode, but it's definitely the second most traumatic part of the episode. First of all, this little kid is just like very, very rude. I mean, it's like a very realistic, like, rude little kid who doesn't know any better. Like, Mommy, that lady has mud all over her. And it's like, oh, Jesus. Like, in a real world scenario, that'd probably be a homeless woman. But yeah, just the image of Clayface just slowly transforming from the female doctor back into Clayface, and then I just love Clayface looking in the mirror, getting more and more frustrated, building up that frustration, and then just bashing his head against the window. It's just, oh God, and then everyone fleeing. That's something that sticks with you, Dragon. That's some imagery right there.
And this is great, Tiki. This little moment, what's so great about this too is this is a glimpse of why Clayface wants the cure, because he just sees how they all react in the other great Ron Perlman performance here. He's like, that's right, run for your measly lives from Clayface. So again, he's just so fed up with that. So we see why he wants the cure, and again, we're building up a little bit of sympathy for him. So Batman's great shot
totally.
Here. Batman kicks Clayface, and as he kind of slides across the ground, he kind of reforms in reverse, like his legs turn into his hands. It's a good shot. So Clayface points out, and this is really clever too. Clayface now, like, of course, takes up a lot of the space in the subway here. Is basically he's a goner. It's like you have nowhere to dodge, and I got you cold. And this is great. He says, You've got that turned around, Clayface, and of course you got that wrong, Hagen, and he basically pulls out this freezing spray, another bat gadget, really nice. rarely used. Use this freezing spray. They kind of like cool him down, basically try to freeze him in place so he can't move, or try to freeze him solid if you can. Clayface in this moment here, again, the fall of Act 2, Clayface jumps out the window of the
This
subway.
is a very traumatic fall in its own right, Dragon. Just the body horror of like your own body, like, destructing and collapsing into a bunch of pieces, but you're still all there consciously. Oh God.
Yep, and he pulls a Deadpool here, just like Deadpool kind of cut his arm off falling in the dump truck. Kind of a Deadpool exit. Clayface is pulling here. Out the window onto the dump truck in pieces and laughing all the way home. So now we're on Act 3. So Act 3, no dice on the Lady Doctor at the Batcave. Let's see, Alfred basically says, Alfred points out the closest thing Hagen's ever had in regards to a relationship with a Lady Doctor is the film Dark Interlude, which of course basically summarizes Dark Interlude, like we already kind of covered. That gives Batman an idea. His movies. There's these link through. Essentially, there's a link through his movies, and of course, like, what do you mean, sir? No time to explain, Alfred. There never is. Oh, God bless Alfred. Anyway, so also great setup.
This probably is like a top tier Alfred episode out of all the episodes we've talked about so far, I think.
Oh, certainly. So lightning striking and everything on the outside again, where the storm is brewing for the big climax of Act 3, which is kind of nice, building it up there. So now we're going all the way to Stella's lab. Lightning's still storming aplenty, and I believe the rain has started once we get to Stella's lab. And of course, really great construction of this set here, like these giant glass windows and everything. See all the rain surrounding them. Anyway, so let's see. So basically, she starts the isotope infusion process using a little clay press thing. So basically, she's it's beginning to work, and this is you're on the edge of your seat, and this is where we're sort of going to get into my thing here. So basically, he's starting to transform the Matt Hagen, and it's like, oh God, it's starting to work. What do you know? Tragedy averted. Until Batman shuts it off. Batman shuts it off, and like she's begging, Batman, turn it back on, and Clayface is freaking out, like I was so close, and Batman's beginning to exposit like how did you find us? So Batman's going on about. Stella was a medical consultant on the films. The idea is they had a lady doctor in the movie. They wanted to actually talk to a lady doctor about how to get all the mannerisms, all the research from the movie, and maybe a kind of an additional doctor on staff. Point being, medical consultant on the films, and presumably on that one as well, on Dark Interlude, which is why she was watching it early on. Of course, her name is Dr. Stella Bates, and Dr. Bates once owned a motel. A little bit of course, the animated series, they're big Hitchcock fans. And of course, Tiki and I, in addition to Hitchcock, we were big Bates Motel fans. So I'm sure you appreciated this.
Oh yeah. But I appreciated the reference coming up even more, though, Dragon.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so basically, she sold her motel for this. So the implication to me, and again, this is what I'm talking. We're starting to get into it here, where. Again, there's a lot of implication, a lot of inferring I don't think I should have to do here, where it's the implication to me, and I could be wrong here because we don't have enough evidence. The implication to me is that she was on the set of Dark Interlude as said consultant, and she fell for Matt Hagen. And when she heard about what happened to him in Feet of Clay, she sought him out, sold her motel, and basically tried to cure him. So that's my headcanon. And again, there still is a bit of a question. I think I'm erring more on your side on this, just to address it here. I think there's a question of like, is she trying to control him misery style, or is she genuinely trying to help him like Teddy? And I think we're coming down. She's trying to help him like Teddy, so it's a genuine affection there. So, But the bigger question, this is the thing we got to. This is my big issue of the whole episode. This thing I still can't reconcile completely years and years later, ever since I watched it for the first time. Okay, bigger question: why does Batman stop the process?
Oh, thank you. That really bothered me. It's like, all right, like I was trying to think of some, like I guess it's because it's funded through money that he robbed. That's about the only thing I have, Dragon. It's like, no, you can't benefit off money that you robbed. That's all I got. That's my only excuse.
I've noodled this for years, my friend. I finally have an answer that might work.
God.
Okay, so of course, first off, he remembers to frame it even worse. This to reflect even worse on Batman for the moment here. He's like, Clayface stole this. from the Wayne Biomedical Lab, which again, essentially improvises means this is the help that Batman was extending. Isotope.
Yes, thank you.
So essentially, what he's doing here is pretty much what Batman would do. Now, here's what it could be. Okay, I guess it's because the only logistical answer as to why Batman stops the process after all these years, the only reason I can ever fathom finally that's a concrete reason is that maybe it's because, as I established earlier, is that Clayface would have his powers and be able to control them in addition to a cure. So he'd look like himself, but he would still have his powers. So perhaps it's like the temptation of the selfish actor, in that if he still wanted to be a criminal, he could, and he'd be unstoppable.
All right,
That's
I
the
hear what
only
you're saying.
logistical thing I can think. Either that, or again, this is the more the inference.
Yeah.
Either that, or he doesn't trust Stella. That for years I thought it was like some BS where he's like, maybe he doesn't trust Stella, and maybe it's because like her profession, she's a consultant. Maybe she's not like a lab doctor. Maybe this is risky. He says the lab boys will take it from him. When Batman says the lab boys will take it from here, I mean, I guess it's like we're going to work on a cure, not this superpower thing for it. No superpowers for you, buddy boy. Just a cure.
Right.
Any way you slice it, it reflects badly on Batman, and that's always still been a problem.
It does, man. It totally does.
So again, like years later, it's a solid episode up to that point. Again, we have a great sequence that follows this moment, mind you. That's the thing. That's why I'm always mixed on the third act of this episode, because it's great, but that's a big. Why does Batman do it?
Okay, to be fair, I think visually the third act really stands out. Yeah. Just the stuff we do in just a minute here. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, also the thing to take away here in regards to the Matt Hagen, but the last thing I want to point out before we just go on with a really great action, I know you're biting at the heel for here. Fact is, Hagen's ego prevented him from his own cure. Also, because you got to remember here, his ego prevented him from the cure here. Because if he just be patient, he could just wait for a cure within the parameters of what Batman's been offering him all this time ever since Feet of Clay, offering to help save him. If you would just wait and be patient instead of like, I'm the actor, I'm the victim, I need this now. If you would just wait, if you just be patient, not such a hothead, I don't know, things might have turned out differently for him. I think that's also the moral we're trying to get across here, but again, it looks like Batman's being kind of a bully here, which is like, I don't know. Anyway, then it gets one last dumb bit that links to this. Stella charges. This starts the whole action. So Stella charges at Batman for some reason. I have no idea why, aside from just crazy. I mean, aside from crazy, I don't know why. Like, okay, you're charging at him into your own chemicals. Why? I guess she's trying to turn the machine back on, but I don't know why. I mean, it's Batman. Anyway. Crashes in there and gets knocked out. Then we have the big money moment here, the big Brando of it all here. Building up with a lot of tons of film references all through. Has a little Streetcar Named Desire action here. Stella!
Dragon, I'm convinced that's the sole reason they named this character Stella.
But it is. Again, Stella Bates. Again, for Bates Motel and for Streetcar Named Desire.
Right.
Anyway, so Clayface, he's infuriated. He breaks the suit like a skin of like an animal or a bug or something.
I love that imagery.
It is. He breaks it like he bursts through the suit. So he's fighting to stop Batman from ruining his happy ending, which again is an interesting conflict, and it's the kind of stuff we flirted with, and like Tiger. But we do it better here. I don't get why Batman gets in the way, but again, at least this is if you can only mix the two almost. Ideas brought up, follow through here. I don't know. Anyway, so action. So you take us through the action, buddy. But go on.
Oh man, so Clayface just pretty much instantly swallows Batman up, right? Like there's no real fight. It's just like, I'll show you.
Remember, like Batman goes for the smart play, brings the ice spray out. Clayface just knocks it right out of his hand outside the window, which means okay. And again, a little tease that we're going outside. We cracked the window, a little ice blocking there. It's time to bring down the curtain, and of course, you're not going to upstage me again. Time to bring down the curtain, and then he tries to suffocate Batman, basically by dragging Batman inside of himself, which is so dark an idea. So Stella's like begging, like, Matt, not like this, and it's just like, do you want? It's the only way. It's me. Do you want Matt Hagen or this? And of course, like, oh, Matt. And anyway, so he slowly. This is the creepy bit. That always was super effective to me, where you can hear Batman's heartbeat slowing.
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Now, fun fact: Batman actually does have the ability to slow his heartbeat down. So, but still, we don't know that at this point. It's like we never seen him test that ability. But again, he's classically Batman can like even do like slowing your heartbeat down. Like if he's ever like buried alive, he can do that sort of thing. Anyway, he needs to fake his death in a pinch. So anyway, so he slows the heartbeat down. Of course, Clayface is laughing. So as Clayface laughs all cockily, bam! Giant like spatter of clay all over from his head from the grappling gun. Again, the grappling gun saves the day, man. My favorite bat gadget for the win. Boom! Grappling gun right out the back of the head. Her scream is what really sells this too. I was still like, ah! I got guys and shot through the head.
It's just horrific, Dragon. It's absolutely horrific. It's a very clever way to get through the sensors, but it's essentially the same effect as like if you took a gunshot to the back of the head or something like that.
He's made of clay. He's fine. He's fine. So then things get even better. So again, after like Ben like trying to maneuver his way out of that and all that really great animation there, one of your favorite shots we should mention too, when he's basically as he's being swallowed, you see Batman just trying to claw his way out of the body, and you see like Clay's pushing the head, the shape of the head back into the body. Oh,
yeah, the iconic Batman like cowl just bursting out of the clay like chestburster style, except it's not quite bursting.
It's like just a little Batman push. It needs a premium push. Think creamy.
Oh God.
Anyway. So so then Clayface tackles Batman outside, and this is where we get into the real big climax of the whole thing. This is where we get into the mudslide of it all, and this is really a great kind of clever use of the title here. So he's knocking Batman out into the rain, about to finish him off here, and of course it's raining. It's pouring cats and dogs outside, and still tells Matt, "You have to get inside. You're absorbing the rain." Which of course he's already structurally weak as is, and again rain kind of breaking him down, Sandman style. That ain't going to be good for anybody. So he tries to push Batman off. He tries to shove Batman off the cliff, and of course this is where you get the big monster movie vibe of it too. By the way, very Frankenstein-esque, very almost like a little creature from the Black Lagoon, little Frankenstein, a little bit of everything. Great kind of showdown with the monster here, as it were. And of course, Clayface, he begins to weaken here, and of course, then so does the Cliffside, and they both fall. And he looks like he's going to take Batman with him on the way down. Batman uses the batarang with a line, kind of wraps it around the cliff on the way down. Clayface is holding on to Batman for dear life, and this is great. Of course, ever the guy I love so much, Batman here, he's trying to save him. It's like, save him, Batman, please! It's, come on, Hagen, pull yourself together. Literally, he's pulled himself together, or else he's a goner. Batman tries to grab Clayface, tries to pull him up, but unfortunately he's all water soluble now. It's like squishing, it's squishing clay for an art project, man. It's not going to go well. So
yeah,
it's like. And of course, Clayface is this great reel. This is the Ron Perlman performance you're talking about. Here's where it gets even better. Here's this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Curtain again. It's so amazing. It has we have a Clayface death in each episode essentially. This is like we did really well at the end of Feet of Clay, and now I've always wanted a death scene this good. And of course, too, I'm never going to read the reviews. And now we have just like the more definitive death, let's call it, where Clayface, he's too late. Curtain's going down, and he falls. And I love Batman Conroy's delivery here, like Hagen. He falls. We have this money shot of a fall here. As Clayface falls, and again the third act fall. As in the curtain falls each act. Curtain falls for the third act, as he mentions the whole curtain runner throughout the episode. Curtain's going down of it all. He falls into the water and he dissolves Sunset Boulevard style, man.
You know what? Say what you will about motivations and everything like that, and you're right, it is in question. But that last shot of Batman just comforting Stella and just somberly walking away with her is powerful, man. That's what I'm like. That's a baby doll ending right there. It really is. It's not quite baby doll, but it's in the same ballpark. You know what I mean?
It is. And again, you have the sad music, and the rain stops just after he's fallen to his demise. And again, at the end of the day, the truth is, however you feel about it. And again, maybe it's the point is that the truth is. I think there was a middle ground. If you ask me, I think there was a middle ground on both parties here. Clayface did bring this on himself to a large degree. His ego wanted to be healed on his terms with Stella and everything. He was stealing to get what he wanted, hence the cautionary tale of it all. But by the same token, Batman could have had a much softer touch in the end when we were shutting off the process. And
Oh yeah,
had
totally.
a much softer touch. So at the end of the day, there are errors on both sides. It's a tragedy, after all, hence kind of the sad mudslide mask of it all. So that's what the episode is.
All right, so Dragon, final thoughts. Like I said, I think the biggest thing this episode has against it, honestly, is just following up The Man Who Killed Batman, because it's just unabashedly my favorite episode of the series thus far. But, I mean, for what it's worth, I don't think this is quite the same level as the first Clayface episode, but it's pretty damn good. Like you said, the main weak point is the motivations, especially Batman shutting down the machine. Why the hell does he do that? I don't know. But other than that, I like the fact that they didn't try to replicate the clay effect, so they went with a different kind of motif for the clay. That was clever. And it's a very solid episode. It's not quite top tier, but there's definitely some moments that are top tier. And it is very much a top tier Alfred episode. Gotta give it up for that. Alright.
Final thoughts for me, Dark Act 2 of the ongoing Clayface tragedy, for sure. Again, doesn't get much darker than the Clayman falling to his death in the water and just dissolving the pieces. Doesn't get much darker than that, folks. Interesting analysis of Clayface in many regards. I found more things to like about it on the reel. It's not that I never disliked the episode, but again, it's always that big sticking point of, well, why does he turn off the machine? But again, I found more, again, after years and years of looking at it, it's like, again, I kind of see the point where Clayface would be too powerful and there being a temptation, but that said, it still doesn't excuse the fact that I have to infer that after many years. I still don't know, you know? So that's ending's still a little iffy, not with, of course, the spectacle of and the poetic nature of the climax, but it's not, you know, it's not enough as to the why, which still bothers me. It goes down the way it does. Stellar messy animation with the clay, as Tiki said. It's a solid one. Again, kind of hard to compare it to the two-part, because again they had like all the carte blanche to really explore that story and the two-parter nature of like the tragedy and the creation of Clayface. So again, I can't really compare it to the first one, but it was a more logical follow-up than I remember. I like the idea of again the whole breakdown of Clayface and how it works in the grand whole. Looking back on it, you know, after a while, it's solid it's solid enough despite the whole premise of the episode being a character not being solid. So it's kind of fun in that regard. So it's a solid one, not a Hall of Famer, but a solid one all the same.
All right, Dragon, give us your Bill Dozier. Tease us up.
A brother in need, a thorn in Leslie Tompkins' side, lasers. Can Dr. Tompkins save her patient and herself? Will Batman get to her in time? Tune in and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with paging the crime doctor, Stella!